On a small, quiet island in Scotland, everything is about to change. We meet young Jimmy, who is watching TV with his cousins and sisters. The children seem apprehensive and witness the agitation of the adults. Jimmy's aunt enters the room and leaves her daughter there, asking the children to stay quiet and locked in. Scary noises are heard in the house, and someone starts banging on the door. Jimmy quickly gets up to check, asks if it's his father, but louder knocks follow and several infected individuals burst into the room. Everyone is brutally killed while Jimmy watches before he runs away. He finds his mother in another room. She tells him to escape, but she is also attacked. Jimmy runs to the church where his father is a priest. As he tries to get there, he encounters more infected running towards him. The boy knocks on the church doors until he manages to enter and sees his father kneeling before the cross. He approaches and asks what is happening, saying that everyone in his family is dead. His father replies that they are now free and not dead, and talks about the day of judgment, but there isn't time to explain as the infected are almost breaking into the church. He hands his rosary to Jimmy. While the boy hides, his father surrenders to the infected as a form of liberation and is soon transformed as well. Hidden, Jimmy wonders why his father abandoned him and runs away. 28 years later, on another isolated island, a group of people lives quarantined from the rest of the world. We meet one of the residents, a man named Jamie, who tells his son Spike that today will be his first day on guard duty. The people live peacefully on that island, away from the infected, fishing and raising animals to survive. Spike prepares for the hunt, goes down to have a snack, and his father asks if he brought the necessary gear. While they eat, Isla, Spike's mother, spills her food on the floor. She has been infected, but hasn't completed the transformation, struggling between her rational thought and her murderous instincts. Jamie goes to see his wife and Spike follows him. She is happy to see her son, but seems to remember few things, calling him a baby and asking why he hasn't gone to school. Jamie comments that today will be the boy's first day on the hunt, which makes Isla angry. She says that Spike is just a baby and cannot be taken to death, but Jamie explains that they had already talked about this, although Isla doesn't remember and accuses him of being a killer. Spike tries to calm his mother, but she seems to forget everything again. Spike comforts her, covering her with blankets, and hands her a piece of bacon he had set aside from breakfast, saying goodbye and lying that he is going to school. He meets a man named Sam, whom he gifts a bow. Sam teaches him to use it, and Jamie urges his son to hurry. The duo begins their journey to the mainland, and everyone in the village sees them as heroes for taking the risk. Before they cross the bridge, the hostess warns Spike that on the mainland, he will be on his own, and there will be no rescue if he gets lost. Spike agrees, and Jenny asks the man in the tower how the situation is. He answers that everything is clear. Jenny opens the passage, and they begin their crossing. Jamie asks his son about the hunt, and Spike explains that the passage is the only way, that they can only reach the mainland at low tide. They arrive on the other side and enter the forest. At the top of a hill, Spike is impressed with the vastness of the place, and asks if they walk enough, they will find something beyond the sea. Jaime replies that no, that only the infected are out there, and that their village is the safest place. As they cross, Jaime hears a noise, and they remain silent for a few minutes before continuing. Soon they spot the first infected, a fat and slow one. Jaime sees a good opportunity for Spike to kill his first infected, but Jaime explains that even slow doesn't mean he isn't dangerous, and continues explaining that if there is one, there must be more hiding in the forest. This leaves the boy apprehensive, and Jamie tells him he has to aim for the creature's neck to kill it. Even scared, Spike prepares to kill his first infected, but they don't realize another infected is crawling up behind them. Spike soon shoots with his bow, making the creature scream and alerting the others. The infected that was behind them soon reveals itself, but Jamie quickly kills it with his bow. However, the problems are just beginning, as more infected start to appear. An infected child shows up, and Jamie can't kill her, and she ends up fleeing. Jamie praises Spike for the earlier shot, but warns that they need to change positions, as the screams will attract more creatures. They soon leave that location, and while walking in a clearing, find a herd of deer, admiring the scene. Jaime notices an abandoned house nearby and prepares to investigate. Spike grabs his bow as well. He slowly approaches the house. Jamie opens the door, and they nearly die of fright when a fox dashes out from inside. Jamie tells Spike that this place must have already been searched, but it's always good to look for something more. And they start, but they find nothing of value. They are about to leave when they hear a noise coming from one of the rooms. They go to check and find a man tied upside down, his body marked with letters. Spike, terrified, tries to look away, but his father tells him to look, as he will learn a lesson there. Jaime approaches the man, who starts to move, startling them. Spike asks why he is like that. Jaime explains that he was left to attract the infected and ended up being infected as well, and Spike doesn't understand why someone would do something so cruel. Jaime theorizes that it could be a punishment or a warning, and says there are strange people on that continent. Then, Jaime explains to Spike why the island is so valuable, and the boy asks if that's the real lesson. But Jaime replies that no, the lesson is to eliminate the infected in front of them. Spike hesitates and wonders if it's right to do this, but his father insists that the man is already dead inside. Jaime urges Spike to finish the creature, but the boy hesitates until the infected manages to break free. Spike, in a moment of courage, reacts in time and kills him. Meanwhile, in the village, the children learn about life in the past, while others train to deal with the infected. Back in the forest, Jaime notices blood on some leaves and, following the trails, finds the carcass of a deer. He explains that the infected responsible are faster than those they faced before. Spike finds all of this disgusting and nearly vomits, while Jaime laughs at his son's reaction. Spike steps away and finds the skull of the animal nailed to a tree and calls for his father. A flashback reveals who did that, and Jaime warns that they are dealing with an alpha. Worried, Jaime says it's time to return to the village, but Spike resists, fearing being called a coward. Even so, the father assures him that the mission is accomplished, since the boy has claimed 2 kills. Jaime surveys the plain before they advance and starts the way back, but suddenly notices an infected on the hill. He orders Spike to be quiet. Soon, more infected appear, and the alpha emerges. Jaime orders an immediate retreat to the forest, while the alpha commands his followers in the hunt. Father and son run among the trees, pursued by enemies, until Jaime proposes a counterattack, saying he will hit the first one and Spike should hit the second. Jaime manages to fulfill his part, but Spike, overwhelmed by fear, misses the shot. Even so, Jaime takes out another one and tells them to keep fleeing. Jaime stops again so that they can use their training tactics, but Spike misses, and more infected appear. They have no choice but to run. They reach an abandoned house and quickly enter, with Jaime telling Spike to go up to the 2nd floor while he confronts one of the monsters. Another infected appears, and Jaime asks his son to open the attic door. He tries to help Spike up, but more enemies show up, forcing them to fight. Jaime eliminates them, and the two hide in the attic while the enemies circle the house. In the village, the women prepare a party to celebrate Spike's achievements, unaware of the dangers that father and son face. Night falls, and the two remain trapped in the attic, with the alpha lurking. Jaime explains that alphas are different from other infected, larger, stronger, and smarter. Spike asks what they will do, and Jaime says they will do anything except face him. He realizes that the arrows are gone, but assures that it doesn't matter much since he's seen an alpha hit by dozens of them without bleeding. Feeling guilty, Spike apologizes for missing his shots, but his father reassures him, saying he did well for a first time. Spike, curious, looks through the attic holes and sees the glow of a fire in the distance. He asks what it could be, and Jaime admits he doesn't know, saying he has never been in that part of the island. Later, Spike is sleeping and begins to have nightmares about his mother, who is drowning and asking for his help. In the dream, everything begins to shake and collapse. Jaime quickly wakes his son and warns that they need to get out of there, as the house is old and starting to fall apart. They manage to leave, and Jaime says they need to hurry, as the infected will soon arrive. Spike asks how to cross the tide, and Jaime explains that they still have a chance, as the tide is still a bit low. Jaime tells his son to move silently and, if he sees the alpha, to run straight to the sea and not stop. They soon start running and reach the top of the mountain. Jaime tries to locate the alpha, but he is not in sight, so he tells Spike that they still have a chance since the water is shallow. They reach the beach, and Jaime is happy because the water is at their calves. Taking off their boots, they start to advance, but the alpha appears at the top of the mountain and starts running toward them. Jaime and Spike are almost there, and Jaime laughs with happiness. They don't even notice the danger approaching. When the alpha runs to catch them, several bats fly by, and only then do they realize the threat. The two look back and see that monster coming. Jaime shouts for Spike to run without looking back. They run, and Spike falls into a hole while the alpha keeps coming. Jaime manages to lift his son, and they start running again. The guards in the tower are asleep while Jaime shouts for them to open the gates. Soon everyone is on alert and begins to prepare. One man turns on a light and gets ready to shoot, while another tries to open the gates. The men hit the Alpha, which falls, but soon lets out a scream of rage and runs back toward the two. The Alpha is almost reaching them when the men shoot a fire lance that pierces its chest. In the town, a party is happening, and no one imagines the danger. Jaime asks Jenny to open the gates, but she refuses, thinking they are infected. Jaime asks her to look into their eyes, and she soon opens the passage. Spike and his father join the party, and Jaime starts to tell how his son killed 2 infected, but Spike seems uncomfortable. He doesn't think it's right to take so much credit, as he considers himself a coward and tries to stop his father, who is drunk. Nevertheless, Spike earns the title of Giant Slayer, and everyone celebrates his victory. Jaime goes out with a woman to cheat on his wife, while Spike, who also starts to drink, feels sick and goes outside to vomit. He sees his father with another woman and decides to follow them. He discovers that the woman's name is Rosie, Jaime's mistress, and Spike follows them to a cave where he sees his father cheating on his mother. Angry, he leaves the place and returns home, where he finds Sam sleeping in the living room. He asks about his mother and if she is okay. Sam explains that they did a lot of things that day, even walking to the beach. He says that without the crisis, Spike's mother would have a perfect life. Sam asks what is bothering the boy, and he calls his father a liar, revealing that he made it seem like he was the hero of the story. Sam doesn't judge Spike and comforts him. Spike shares that, despite having visited the continent, he saw many new things, including fire, which intrigues Sam. He then reveals that it might be a man named Kelson, and is surprised to learn that he is still alive. Sam explains that Kelson was a family doctor. Spike says his father told him that all the doctors were dead and that there were no more in the world, asserting that Jaime is lying. Sam suggests that maybe Jaime didn't mention Kelson because the doctor is a bit strange, and we see some scenes of him carrying firewood for the bonfire. Sam asks Spike to go back to the party, but he refuses and says he will take care of his mother. Sam says goodbye and leaves. Spike goes to his mother's room, lies down beside her, and whispers that everyone is lying. The next day, his mother wakes him up asking for medicine because she has a headache, but soon gives up. Jaime arrives home and lies down with the two. Spike, disappointed with his father, leaves the room without saying much. The boy cries behind the door, and Jaime finds his behavior strange. Jaime makes coffee when Spike arrives and questions him about why he never said there is a doctor who can help his mother. Jaime tries to lie, saying there are no doctors in the world, but Spike mentions Kelson's name. Jaime asks where he heard that name and blames Sam for filling the boy's head with nonsense, saying that Kelson was a doctor in the past, but now he is just a madman. Spike insists, asking if he is or isn't a doctor. Jaime begins to tell a story from before Spike was born, saying that the groups had to walk a lot to find supplies, and one day, a group came close to Kelson's territory and smelled death. He affirms they were used to such smells, but that one was different, almost palpable. As he tells the story, we see a flashback of when they met Kelson, who had gathered several bodies to burn. Jaime says that Kelson saw them on the hill and waved as if calling them. They were so scared that they decided to run, and for 15 years, no one ever returned there. Spike remains silent for a few seconds and asks if his father wants his mother to die. Jaime is taken aback and asks what kind of thing that is. Spike asks several questions and mentions Rosie, which irritates Jaime, who, in a moment of anger, slaps his son. Disappointed, Spike steps back and goes to his mother, who is feeling pain in her head. He comforts her and apologizes for not being able to help. Jaime goes upstairs and offers to get medicine, but Spike pushes him away and asks him to stay away. The boy pulls out a knife, but it is quickly taken by Jaime. Spike decides to set fire to the barn and then alerts the guards about the fire. They soon leave their posts, and Spike takes advantage of the distraction to grab his mother and head toward the continent. They cross the bridge and reach the beach, and soon after, they find an abandoned city. The mother realizes they have arrived on the continent, becomes desperate, and calls for Jaime, but Spike says he isn't there, and that now he will protect her. Jaime and Spike are going to see a doctor from the old times, and Isla asks if something is wrong with her son. He asks her to stay calm, as the doctor will take care of her. They begin their journey in search of Kelson, passing through various places. At one point, Isla becomes tired and wants to rest, so Spike suggests stopping at an abandoned house. He leaves his mother resting and goes to keep watch. Hours later, a fat infected approaches, but Spike doesn't notice, almost falling asleep. The infected starts to swallow his shoelace and lunges at the boy. Just as it's about to kill him, Spike wakes up and sees the infected dead in front of him. He asks what happened, and his mother replies that she doesn't know. The boy warns that they need to leave, and Isla, in shock, has a flashback from the previous night but doesn't understand how she killed the infected. They continue their journey in search of Kelson. In a flashback, we see soldiers fleeing from an attack by a group led by an alpha. Some are wounded and transformed. The comrades eliminate the infected and flee to a tunnel. The soldiers walk but are attacked by the alpha and killed. Spike and Isla are now in a field of flowers. She sees a contrail in the sky and calls Spike father, then begins to speak nonsense. Spike doesn't understand. Isla is delirious with memories, and Spike calls for her. We notice that her nose is bleeding, and she comes to her senses. While cleaning his mother's nose, Spike sees an infected behind her and draws his bow to kill it. He shoots, and the blood splatters on Isla. Afraid that she might be infected, Spike quickly wipes her off, but the creature's scream attracts more infected. They start running for their lives as they are chased. Spike stops and manages to kill one, but more come. They reach an abandoned post covered in blue mist, and Spike tries to open the door, which is locked. He manages to open it and discovers a kind of gas inside. With no options, they enter, but infected also invade. They are cornered, and when everything seems lost, a soldier appears from the ceiling and shoots, causing an explosion that kills the infected. Spike and Isla manage to escape. Spike introduces himself and his mother. The soldier says his name is Eric. Isla feels pain, and Eric asks what is wrong with her. Spike replies that he doesn't know, that they are there to find a doctor. Eric asks where he came from and why more infected are coming to the area. Spike explains that it might be because of the scream of the infected he killed earlier. Eric gets furious, saying that it would attract more alphas to the area and that everyone would die. Isla makes a lot of noise, and Eric asks Spike to quiet her down. Spike replies that he can't, and Eric questions why he helped if he can't even make his mother shut up. But Eric decides to help Spike and carries Isla on his back. He explains how he ended up there, saying that he lived in Sweden and enlisted in the Navy, and that during a mission, his ship sank. To save himself, he ended up there and encountered those creatures. Spike invites Eric to come back with him after they take his mother to the doctor, and Eric asks where this doctor is. Spike points to some smoke. Eric says he is tired and wants to take a break, then sets up a picnic and introduces some technologies to Spike while explaining what a cell phone is. Isla starts to delirium again, and Eric asks why Spike's mother calls him father. Spike responds that she is confused and that it hasn't always been like this. Isla asks who the young man is, and Eric introduces himself as a friend of her father. Spike laughs and says he is being silly. Eric asks why alphas are so big, and Spike explains that his friend Sam said that in some people the virus acts like steroids, although he doesn't know what that means. Eric laughs and says it's like taking steroids, joking that maybe if he gets infected, he will also become an alpha. Soon they hear a noise coming from the forest, and Eric wonders what it could be. Isla keeps walking, and Eric tries to stop Spike from going after his mother, but he says he will never abandon her. Isla reaches an abandoned train, goes inside, and follows the source of the sound. She finds a pregnant, infected woman. Isla realizes that the woman is about to give birth and tries to help her. When Spike and Eric arrive, Spike asks what his mother is doing. The infected reacts to Isla's presence and grabs her hands, then begins to give birth. Isla takes the baby and asks Spike to cut the umbilical cord. While Isla holds the baby, the infected tries to attack him, but Eric shoots her, then tells Isla to drop the baby and says they need to kill it. Isla insists that it is just a child, but Eric says it is a zombie baby. Spike notes that she doesn't seem infected, but just as he is about to shoot, another infected grabs him and kills Spike. Then, an alpha jumps into the train. Spike tells his mother to run. The alpha advances, and Spike shoots an arrow that makes it stop. The alpha sees one of its kind dead and chases them, while Spike keeps shooting. They exit the train with the alpha right behind them, and when Spike thinks it's the end, a man hits the giant with a tranquilizer dart, and it falls. Spike asks if he is Dr. Kelson, and the man confirms. Spike says that he needs his help, and the man takes them to the base. Kelson asks why Spike traveled so far, if it's because of the baby, but he replies that it's for his mother. During the night, Kelson conducts tests on Isla. He asks if the episodes of confusion are constant, but she is unable to respond. Kelson states that he doesn't have the necessary materials to identify what Isla has, but believes it to be cancer spread throughout the brain. He regrets and says he cannot help. Isla says she already knew, just didn't know how to say it. The boy asks if his mother will feel pain, but she asks him to stay calm. Isla tells Kelson that he can't cure her, but he can help her. He steps back and administers a tranquilizer to Spike. Isla hands the baby to him, and Kelson says that the boy needs to let her go, as that is the only way the suffering will end. Isla says goodbye to Spike, and Kelson administers a lethal medication. Afterward, he hands Spike her skull to place on the monument. Spike decides to position his mother's skull at the top of one of the pillars made by Kelson. They don't have time to grieve, as the Alpha appears and they need to hide. The Alpha finds them and tries to rip off the bars, but soon stops and disappears, attacking suddenly from the other side and grabbing Kelson. In a quick moment, Spike administers the medication to the Alpha, which becomes paralyzed. Kelson says it's time for Spike to go home with the baby. Spike makes the journey back with his new little sister, and we discover that he only intended to leave the baby, leaving a note for his father not to worry or come after him. Spike decides to name the baby Isla in honor of his mother. The father reads the letter, runs out with tears in his eyes, but finds he can't do anything as the tide is too high. Spike is now alone when he is attacked by a group of infected. He kills a few and runs, but is cornered in a dead-end alley. A man appears on the mountain saying that he has good aim but won't survive alone. With no choice, Spike accepts the man's help, who instructs his group to take care of the infected, which they do quickly. The man introduces himself as Jimmy, and we see the crucifix that Spike's father gave him when he was younger. The film ends with Jimmy asking Spike to join the group.